told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up. Good afternoon, guys.
Hey, Joe. How's it going, Joe?
Today we have a very special guest in studio, Mr. Ashley Stallworth, visiting us all the way from the beautiful Seattle, Washington. I hope you're enjoying our lovely Connecticut weather out here.
Absolutely. I brought my winter jacket.
Well, you guys must get a lot of like rain and stuff up there anyway, right?
It's true, but you guys enjoy the a different type of cold.
Yes. Yes.
Layers to that game.
Yeah.
We learned a whole new code this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you went to Ohio. You'll have to tell us a little bit about that, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing out here, what you're getting into lately, and then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. So no, it's a great pleasure to be engaged in the cannabis space. You know,
Always.
Have two companies, one that manufactures and distributes primarily CBD products. We do a lot of tea, a lot of oils, a lot of tinctures, granola, you name it, we could probably make it. You know, and then we also have the journalism arm with the Rec Book, which we use to educate, you know, share the laws, the trends, people who are making history,
Right.
like you guys every day who are trying to really make this union unified, right, when it comes to cannabis. So, you know, coming out here on the East Coast, hanging out with, our partner Luis over here, Uncle Lou, you know. You know, we had the opportunity to really track around. You know, we helped introduce New York's first CBD experience
I heard
store.
about that.
Amazing setup over there. A lot of guys up in New York who are in many different councils. Nelson Guerrero,
him.
Jake Plumer,
Friends,
Good friend of mine.
yeah, who've really been able to help kind of put people on a trajectory of success.
Yeah,
So-
they do a lot with the Cannabis Cultural Association
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Huge. People are very receptive. So it's just so important this time. You know, everybody be very inclusive, set up equity opportunities for people. And, so we went from New York City, the high life with the flashy lights,
Manhattan,
so to speak.
bright lights, big city, too.
Everywhere. Had Sinatra in the background. You knew things were changing. You knew things were
Right.
changing. And then we found our way all the way through many states like Pennsylvania, back down to Connecticut, and all the way out to Ohio.
Oh,
So
that's a fun
the
place.
promised land.
Yeah. Well, if you're a hemp grower, it probably is.
Yeah, they
Very
have
possibly.
so much space out there. I mean,
Right.
The rolling flatlands were one of the big topics of conversation that were out there. Ohio has so much flatlands and valleys that allow that water to pass through as needed. And it's such a big farming community. They have humongous farms. We're talking,
Well, it's always been known for farming.
yeah, we're talking 1,000-acre farms, and
Right.
it's awesome. It's beautiful.
It's good that they're getting into hemp. So you went there for a hemp convention?
No, we went for a hemp farmers summit.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
it was very information driven. We really did. We were able to take back a lot of information. Got to meet some great people out there. Big shout out to Tim Johnson from Cannabis Safety out in Ohio. They were very hospitable to us. And then Julianne, she owns Ming's Fertilizer Company.
Okay.
And it is a hemp-specific fertilizer.
Specifically for hemp.
Specifically for hemp, for use in outdoors as well. So they have an indoor formula. They have their OG set, what they call is the Ohio Grown,
Oh.
and a little play on words for the hemp
OG,
industry.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest thing there is growing quality hemp if they choose for CBD because it's industrial. There was also
There's other many uses for it?
Yeah, there was a wonderful speaker that does hemp products. Ashley, he was talking about hemp for grain. So instead of hemp for CBD, hemp for grain.
Hemp flour. Right, hemp flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. You make bread out of it.
Correct.
I saw also they want to use hemp for birdseed.
Yeah.
Yeah, hemp seeds
Yeah.
for birdseed.
And one of the things, that it is a key ingredient in some of the bird seeds that I think a lot of people in the shelves, they don't realize.
Don't realize they're already
it's
putting it
actually
in.
Already, It's already there.
Oh,
You know, you'll
that's
have
good for the birds.
Yeah, you'll have well. There's also like hemp hearts. You can get it for your dogs.
And yes,
You
and
know.
I've used hemp hearts in my protein shakes
Yep.
many
Yep.
times.
Yep.
Yeah, so hemp has multi-use. I was actually reading another article today that hemp-produced ethanol 5 times cheaper than corn-produced ethanol. 5 times cheaper.
Now, one of the
Amazing.
things, one of the conversations we were able to have out there with a local farmer that does hemp on a large scale, and Ashley was able to bring up the point that anything that you can synthetically create
Mm-hmm.
can be created through hemp.
I
Any wood product or
believe that,
anything
yeah.
synthetically created can be made from hemp.
Right.
That was very specific in the wood because hemp can 100% be used as a wood. The construction companies and construction
They've
sector
made
is
houses
really
out
looking.
of it. Yep.
Yeah, they were talking
Hempcrete.
about the hemp house in South Carolina.
Yep. And there's
And,
hempcrete, and Henry Ford actually made a hemp car.
That's right.
He made a car out of hemp that was stronger than
Yes.
any of the metal cars they were putting out. And, of course, all of a sudden it got squashed when they made hemp illegal.
Yeah, and it's beautiful that we were able to discuss these things.
Not
because-
only that, he was going to have it run on hemp fuel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the,
Yes,
the,
it
the
is.
biofuel is huge.
got-
It's still viable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It got squashed.
And
so,
it's crazy.
yeah.
When we're still talking about the hemp bill of 2018.
Yeah, apparently that thing is ready for signing. I do have a little article about
Do you
that.
have a little thing you can read for us, Joe?
Yes, it says here, Mitch McConnell
Yes,
says
sir.
is guaranteeing that the 2018 Farm Bill will include his industrial
Guaranteeing.
hemp legalization provision after the Senate and House reach a compromise, ideally by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So he says, I don't want to overstate this. I don't know if it's going to be the next tobacco or not, but I do think it has a lot of potential. And as all of you already know, in terms of food and medicine, but also car parts,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's an extraordinary plant. Now, this is Mitch McConnell saying this.
Yes, sir.
So when industrial hemp is legalized, it will be lightly regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. McConnell stressed, he added, that the Justice Department wouldn't be involved. The only federal involvement would be the hemp farmers to be eligible for crop insurance.
That was
So
a
they are
big
going
topic.
to treat
Huge.
this like a crop.
100%,
Like
Joe.
corn, like tobacco, like, obviously you're going to have permits and
No.
comply with EPA
Joe.
regulations.
Joe, they're looking for it to be treated just like corn. So in
Yeah,
Ohio,
but you still
at
need
least,
a permit to grow anything.
Ohio's a little
commercially.
different.
Yeah.
So because they're one of 3 states. There's 3 states in our union that are farm states that give the right to the farmer ultimately.
Right.
They give them, you don't need a permit. You don't need, this is your farmland.
Yeah.
You do what you want. You reap what you sow. And I think that that's amazing. And that's why Ohio they didn't put
Right.
in a hemp program because of that.
Right, right.
They were one of the only 8 states that didn't put that hemp program.
Well, Connecticut's another
Connecticut's
one.
also another one. So we're in that
Okay.
circle.
But all right, so I understand that,
Yeah.
but we live in Connecticut.
Yes, we
So
live in
we have to
Connecticut.
look at what they're going to do here.
They have a very liberal program that they're looking to put in.
They
Kentucky,
haven't done anything with it here.
right,
yet.
and that's where they're at. They're like, do we want to even put anything in play for it? Do we want to say you need a permit?
Well, I
and
think
that's
what's going to
where-
happen is when they deal
Well,
with
that's
rec,
between the activists there.
when they deal with the rec here, they'll deal with hemp at the same
Yeah.
time. I would hope it will
Well,
all
here
go
in Connecticut, hopefully when that signs, it won't even be a legalization issue because industrial hemp has nothing to do with cannabis.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
No,
it'd be-
the issue here is the CBD. They worry about that. They
Well,
said in
that's what the Farm
matter of
Bill-
fact, Connecticut hemp is legal except for
Right.
CBD.
Right, and that's what the Farm Bill is going to
Legalize it all.
Right.
CBD. Take the Fed.
so
take the Fed.
the grain and the fiber is going to be so prevalent, especially with Connecticut having fields that were once already tilled
Tobacco.
for tobacco.
Yeah.
Right? So those lands have already been created. And like Luis was saying, when they brought it up a lot, when we were out there, how they were one of 3 states. And if you look at those 3 states, the way they're geo positioned, the way their constituents are, and the long history of commerce, right? Floating back to money that floats currently
Right.
on our stock market. I mean, they're making way for bigger business in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
That's why those laws are there. So Scott's and Montesino.
Monsanto.
Monsanto.
Yeah,
No,
I know.
no, please don't mention those names.
They are that's their home state. So they made it so that there's no regulations on anything they want to do. They're killing the small farmers. From,
Literally.
literally. With
Yeah.
The big topic
See,
was
this
drift.
is what we have to worry about as activists and people who are going to get involved in the hemp industry. The products that I'm sure you want to put out and that I want to put I don't want them coming from Monsanto.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know what I mean? Unless it's
Exactly.
clothing, I don't care what
Exactly.
I'm wearing if it comes, but I'm not going to put it in my body. Anything that
Correct.
comes from Monsanto.
We're on the same page with that. And
Kebra-
that's-
They will not be the Nike.
no.
Kebra's on the phone right now.
Love it.
Kebra, are you here?
I'm here.
Hey.
Hi, Kebra. So Kebra is up in Hartford taking care of the patients up there. We miss her, but we're very happy to have her on the phone. How are you?
If you need a medical marijuana certification, please go see Kebra now.
But still listen to us.
Yeah,
while you-
we'll be there today from
Put the show on in
6.
the office, Kebra, so they can all hear you.
Oh, yes.
All right.
I haven't gotten to the office yet, though. I'm still in.
Oh, that's right. You started too. You're still in transit.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we've been talking
But yeah,
about
we're
hemp.
open in Hartford today from 2 to 6.
Right.
Love to see you guys.
Come on up if you need your rec.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking about hemp and industrial hemp, but since I got you on the phone, I want to switch gears a little bit. A couple things going on locally that we should talk about. Yeah,
okay.
right. One is, first of all, George Zito and Rubber Match is closing up at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And we had him on our show about a month ago. He's been in business since 1973, so let's give him a big thanks for what he's done
Yes,
for the
thank you,
cannabis
George,
Local
for all
community.
you've
advocate,
done. George has
100%.
me on Cannabis Here and Now.
Yeah.
His show. He sends patients. He educates potential medical marijuana patients about the program and makes referrals to us. And we really, really appreciate his support. He listens to the show. He, always gives us shouts out. So we really appreciate you, George.
It's going to be a big loss. I hope he'll before he retires and moves to Florida, maybe he'll get involved and come to our parties and hang out with us a little bit.
You
at
know, I
least.
think it'd be awesome if we do a little,
Maybe at the normal party we'll do a
say
tribute
hello.
to George
We'll say
Zito.
hello.
I
We'll
think
make
we're
sure
going
we
to
put a
bring
big,
that up at the normal meeting.
Yeah, we'll make sure we say
Yeah,
a
I
big
think
thank
we
you.
should do a little something.
I think
for
so.
him.
Yeah.
And I know nobody will have any objection to that. So let's plan that for the normal party. Let's do a something for George.
George is a good guy. He really
Yeah.
put his heart and soul into cannabis here in Connecticut.
Yeah. Remember the stories he was telling us
I
about
love that guy.
paraquat and all that? It's great. Great guest. He was a
He's
great
a great
guest.
guy. He's educated through the history of cannabis. He's seen it firsthand, and like he said, he started in 1973.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to
That's
go there when I was
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Well.
Paving the way.
Paving the way. Joined Normal in '79.
Yeah.
So right as the inception of Normal was really going on when. So this is California was going legal basically in the late
90s.
medicinal.
90s. they went
Medicinal. I
medicinal.
apologize, but that fight was there.
Oh, yeah.
And they were just spreading the word of this new organization called Normal.
Yeah.
And how were they getting this information out? But literally by leaflets sent through the mail.
Little leaflets they used to pass out.
You know?
They just moved on from Pony Express.
Yeah.
We've come a long
They
way.
just moved on.
So, yeah, we want to give a shout out to
Oh,
George.
hey, Ashley.
Ashley, yeah. Oh, yeah, you forgot
What's
Ashley
up,
was here.
Kebra?
All right.
Your seat is very comfortable, let me tell you. Very Thank you.
I'm sure you look good today. I got to look at the camera and see you.
We're here.
We stopped by the New Haven office and took a picture in front of the sign.
There we go.
I saw that. Thank you.
We loved it.
So another thing that's going on that happened in Connecticut on Saturday, and this has never happened before, is one of our dispensaries got robbed.
Crazy.
Did you hear about this, Kebra?
I did. I thought it was quite interesting, the scenario that. So what did you get any?
I don't have a ton of info. Channel 8 didn't have a lot. We do know that it was, they didn't mention it on the air, but it was Southern Connecticut Wellness. All they said was that the entire state safe was stolen.
Jeez.
So now, wow.
The
So-
entire
that
safe
was
was
even
stolen. That's
possible.
all they said.
Well,
It said no arrests have been made. There's no suspects, and the incident remains under investigation. They said the only thing taken was a safe containing a substantiary amount of cash. So the whole
So-
day's take was probably in that safe.
right. And what I'm thinking is just because as a patient seeing things that are going on, and, we're allowed to make speculation.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into the dispensary, we see kind of where things are going. That back door where they deliver the packages is literally right into that back room. Like as a patient, you go.
I
in
don't
there.
know that one.
Oh,
I haven't been to that
I'm
dispensary
a patient
yet.
at that dispensary.
Oh, you are?
I am
Oh,
a
okay.
patient at that dispensary. So I do know as you walk in that first door, tight security. Before you walk into that second door, tight security. You walk into that third door to see your pharmacy tech, still tight security. There's even a door between the pharmacy tech and the safe area where they take their deliveries, where it's one door in through the back.
Right.
You know?
There's
So
nothing in the back.
and there's
nobody in the back.
right. Tons of cameras out front. You know?
And I know that location. It's
interesting,
right
though,
on
they
New
didn't
Haven
say
Avenue,
cameras.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
So-
somebody must have known their something.
The
about how
routine.
they
Yeah,
operate.
they're saying it's nobody,
Yeah,
but
because they
there's
take
camera.
The safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole safe.
I guarantee they
Yeah.
couldn't get the
Like,
medicine.
who would even know it was a safe you could take?
Right.
Do you think it might have been an inside job? There's been speculation of that.
Sounds like it.
That's what I've been hearing. Inside job. So that's a shame.
And that's unfortunate because I just met the owner, Raj.
Raj is
yeah.
a
He's really
friend.
a nice guy. Very knowledgeable about cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to really care about the patients there. You know, and stuff like this just puts a negative spin on, you know, a program that we're trying to, you know, encourage patients to be involved in, and encourage the society at large to think of us, you know, not as the years of stereotypes and propaganda have
Right.
been, like we're just a bunch of criminal losers and so on and so forth. So, you know, hopefully this doesn't stain anything that we have going on.
It's really unfortunate. It really is. It does put a bad look on the medical marijuana program. Well, not on the medical, just on dispensaries.
No, that was just a
on
safety
security
thing.
at dispensaries in
That
general.
was just a security thing.
So they'll
That
bring
was
it
all.
up.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
But
let's-
you know how they do.
You know
Yeah.
how they
Especially
do.
with press, you know,
yeah.
one
Yeah.
bad
Well,
apple.
Let's be realistic. There had to be a camera facing that safe.
Well, it's under investigation. Let's see what they
You
come
know
up
what I
with.
mean?
Let's.
If you are operating a facility with that much cash, as any owner,
you better. I mean, it's everybody. I know everybody. Even the pizza joint has a camera facing right on the register in the safe.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. So whoever did this, they're gonna know who did it.
Yeah. They may already. You know, they may just not
Oh,
be.
yeah,
They can't discuss the act.
Yeah.
You know, it's an active investigation. They can't discuss it. You know, so we respect all that, but that also allows us to speculate as much as we want.
Yeah. And it was, I guess, Saturday night after closing. So, I mean, I'm sure there was probably a lot of money in there.
That was a
And they
busy
knew
day.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturdays are a busy day over there. So it's a shame.
We could
and
probably buy a lobbyist with that money.
yeah, yeah.
That's the truth.
I know I spent money there that day.
We wish
They
them
got
well,
they
though.
got my dollar bills.
Well,
We
like
wish
you-
them well, though. We
Absolutely.
I
You
picked
know.
up
Oh,
the
yeah, we
blue.
wish them
I picked
well,
up the
and
blue.
Hopefully they can recover
Yeah.
their losses.
yeah.
Yeah, bless them.
Well, with Thanksgiving coming up, hopefully
They definitely
people
will
go
recoup
there.
their loose losses, but you know, it's a pharmacy.
Look, it's,
you know,
it's terrible. Like
They
any,
have
if any
insurance.
business gets
They're
robbed.
they have insurance.
Well, I wonder.
No, I
though,
wonder
is
if they
it
do
different
because of the cannabis
with,
industry.
With cannabis.
You know, this is part of the deal why we need banking in cannabis.
Right,
I
and
mean,
I'm-
the fact
well,
that if
that's
we were
also
able
why-
to have banking, they wouldn't need all this cash around.
So they're able
in
to
the
use
safe.
some type of banking, credit
They're charging
union.
a fee now, though.
But this is what I'm saying, Joe. For them to operate
it's
as a
more
business
cash
because they're
ever.
Schedule 2, it opens the program up to the banks, but it doesn't mean the bank has to. So if we have 500 banks and only 2 banks say they're going to operate in this environment, they're able to then charge them astronomical rates,
and they did.
which they did, which is fine because they got the banking. But on top of that, that insurance comes with it. So they're insured. That cash is insured because they have the receipts for the day. You know, it's just how it works through. They're going to get charged an
But
arm
is
and a
it
leg
really,
for it.
Though, because that type of insurance isn't that federal?
Yeah.
That would be,
And they're
that's up to
actually
the bank.
touching The plant.
I would
know what I
want.
mean?
I
Like,
would
I
think it
could
would
get
have to do with
insurance
more
then.
of the insurance they actually have on the business.
Yeah,
Now
Right,
with
because
banking.
it's not,
like
it's
being
not
licensed and
connected to the
bonded.
cannabis.
Yeah.
They're bonded more than any. Cause
Why would the bank have anything to do with it? Because you're not
Right.
putting it in the bank.
they're more than like
But
credit
insurance
unions are
is
called
usually
banks and
federal.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's
You can do
usually
local
federal
insurances as well,
insurance.
you know. So the usuals don't, you know.
But see, what
Don't
I'm saying
apply.
is, they charged me last time I went to the dispensary.
Yep.
Between their fee and the fee my bank charged me,
$5.
it was $5
Yep.
extra on
Yep.
my thing. Now, some people can't afford
Wow.
that $5, and they're going to be paying cash.
Right.
And
So
this is going to, it's going to continue this way because people don't want to use the banking because they're going to get charged an extra $5.
So I'm going to give you the devil's advocate because I'm from New York, and when I went to the ATM,
Okay.
I got charged $3 from the ATM fee
Right.
and $3 from my bank.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Did you
That's-
like it?
Of
Wow.
course not.
I didn't
Okay.
even look at that.
But now, that's why ATMs, you'll get that, free ATM charge. But depending on your bank, that's what they use for their advertisements.
Okay, fine.
You know?
But that means I have to
So-
make my banking fit with just so I don't get a charge from my dispensary.
Yes, that's what private
Well,
industry
Get
is.
your medicine.
That's BS.
Yes.
I want to be able to bank wherever I want.
Well,
It is. They're
That's
making
why
a lot
it's
of
a
money.
private
They're making
industry.
A lot of money off it.
that's why banking is private.
So anyway, we got kind of on a tangent there. I don't think this was about banking. It's
But
more about getting robbed.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think what you're saying,
You know
like,
what I'm
it
saying?
shocks
They're
the whole
robbing everybody.
community. You know,
It's more
So
about getting robbed.
So now
than-
the whole community knows, but it's related to things like banking.
it is
right?
one of the
Yeah.
issues, the reason it happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hopefully New Haven-
And also though, the need to break up this industry a little bit. You know, what if we had a separate security?
Yep.
People were able to start security businesses.
Like Brinks, like having an armored car come pick it up or
Exactly.
something. Yeah, yeah.
What if at
Transport.
the end of
You
the
know-
day, every day, the cash, even if it was the
Transportation,
bank,
delivery.
Yeah.
That should be a separate entity within this industry.
why can't you? Exactly.
Security companies, yeah.
We've had that practice on the West. for
Yeah,
sure.
I
There's-
imagine by now they've
Yeah.
got it there.
Yeah,
And
it
even
could-
Brinks would pick up the money. It's just picking up money and providing security.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it just agreed. But
They
hey,
should
we're,
be able to, but they don't.
we're still here in the infancy, basically, in Connecticut. So anyway, but
Yeah,
not
that,
in
that is something
Massachusetts.
that we should be working on, working towards building, breaking up that one person does everything. That
Yep.
on grow facilities do everything: grow it, package it, extract it, deliver it.
Yep. No, well, we got a chance here if we're going to get recreational marijuana here in Connecticut, like
Oh,
they
yeah, so
do
let's
in
talk- did we talk about
Massachusetts.
that already?
We're talking about Massachusetts right now.
Hey,
Okay.
Tomorrow.
ushering it
Okay.
in.
And then we're going to talk about Connecticut. Tomorrow, Massachusetts legal sales start. Did you know that, Kebra?
Who's riding up to the border with me?
So I will be heading up to Massachusetts tomorrow. Seriously.
I'm
Yeah.
riding
Really?
with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Go ahead. You guys
So
go. Have
Ashley
fun.
and I are heading up for the rec book because it's the first day of recreational sales. So because the rec book covers
Which one you going
recreational
to?
I don't know yet. I might be going to Nita just because of the
There's two of them.
So Veterans Alternative Healing is a veterans program very similar to
Neva.
NEVA.
Mm-hmm.
So both NEVA and the Veterans Alternative Healing.
I did see an article about that they're going to be
Correct.
first in line. I saw that. Very cool.
So those guys are all friends, and I shot a text up after I saw it, and they were like, "Yeah, come on up."
cool.
So
Cool. So you don't know whether you're going to
probably
go.
Nita is because it's closer down this way.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna vote for both.
yeah.
So there's probably. Well, let's see here. Here's what it says. There's two places. One is going to be Nita, N-E-T-A, Neta,
Mhm.
and they're in Northampton.
Yep.
So we know where that is. That's kind of by Greenfield up there, Springfield way, right?
Correct.
And then the other one is called Cultivate, and it doesn't say where that one is. But I understand it's close to the Connecticut border.
Correct.
Kebra, do you know where the second dispensary in Mass is going to be?
No, I don't.
It's called Cultivate. It didn't say where it's going to be, but I do know it is close to Enfield,
Yeah.
near the border,
Mhm.
and that's the one that the Connecticut
Yes,
police and
sir.
everybody are worried about, that the Connecticut residents are going to jump the border
Yep.
and go buy
for sure.
recreation weed.
It was all over
Now,
the news.
Officially,
The police are going to be right there on the line.
You
waiting
bet your
Yep.
heart.
to come out of there.
we don't recommend people bring it back from Massachusetts.
I'm smoking it all
If
there.
you buy it up there, smoke it up there. We are not recommending you bring it over the border.
No.
There may be a loophole if you're a medical patient,
No
but I
loophole.
want you to look into that yourselves. But
We do not recommend you
we
do
don't
this.
recommend that you
You're
bring
not
it
telling
over
him
the
Uncle
border.
Lou.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Uncle Lou did not tell you
Yeah,
to
don't.
bring back weed.
Just smoke it over there. Enjoy it. Have a good time while you're up there. But come
Yes,
back
sir.
empty-handed if you can.
That's right. I am going to go up
very
there
important.
tomorrow. We're going to report.
And please drive responsibly.
Mhm.
Because I could
You know,
just see the reports, on the news. Oh, police bust
Yes,
15 or 20 Connecticut residents coming back from Mass with weed. That's all we need when we're trying to get recreational marijuana here in Connecticut. Speaking of that, did you see the nice article they wrote about us in the Connecticut Post this weekend?
Hey.
No.
Yeah, it was about grow rights in Connecticut. And, it was talking about how, even though we have a marijuana-friendly governor now, there is still opposition to it within the legislature. They quoted Representative John Steinberg, and he is a Democrat out of Westport. And he is still very much in doubt whether it is a good thing for the state, even though it's estimated that $180 million in new taxes could be raised every year. But see, when then they see these toll numbers coming up in the billions. And then, you know what I mean? They're going to... But anyway, this representative says he's not sure if it's time. He said the lure of the revenue is irresistible. But he said, yeah.
That's amazing.
He
Well,
said
it's
there's
Westport.
also conflicting
It's Westport.
information about the addictiveness of the drug. So he's worried about kids. The same thing they're always, worried about.
Well, he's worried about all the people that died from cannabis.
Yeah.
With severe
And the kids,
he's worried
right?
About all of the,
Oh no, the children.
He's worried about the. Please.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
yes,
children.
but yet Westport sold out to. They were what was it? They did not want to have any medical marijuana dispensaries in Westport. They voted it down until somebody came up with the right number, and then as soon as somebody came in with the right number, they changed their tune.
Yes, sir.
So Westport sold out totally to medical marijuana.
Completely.
They voted it out, and then somebody approached them with the right number, and then they changed their mind. So Westport, we can't go by that.
It's Westport.
We're
They
watching
about
you,
their
Westport.
business.
But this was particularly about the right for patients to grow,
Yes.
and about how that, the advocates here in Connecticut, they actually interviewed Paul
Yes.
from Connecticut Normal, and it was, basically he had.
Shout out to Paul.
Yeah, shout out to Paul. And he had a great line in there. He said, a lot of the cultivators and everything are worried about losing business because, people would be growing their own stuff. And he said, I can grow my own tomatoes at home too. That doesn't mean I'm not going to buy them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And all these states that have, and Ashley, you could tell us right here in Seattle. Okay, Seattle has grow rights, right?
No.
No.
No, that was one of the big moves that caused the decision. It was a 52 to 52.
Really?
47, yeah.
So you guys cannot grow personal cannabis?
No, so we're currently, we submitted a document. It's called CS 101 that basically is articles of confederation saying, hey, we want to reintegrate this into the bill, and now we have to get the people's approval again.
So now, did you have it when it was only medical?
We did.
So when they went rec, they took it away.
They did. So it flatlined that entire industry. Only 3 groups who had permits were able to convert, right? So it really decimated, created a black market. You still had a lot of
But I hear
growth
there's
out there.
tons of it out there now.
Tons of it. I mean, almost more than enough.
Too much weed in Seattle
Too much.
now.
It doesn't make sense. So the seed to sale system shows that they've produced way more than they've actually accounted for, right? So the ledgers aren't adding up.
Oh, so where's it going?
Exactly. So they have an audit team going on right now, a bunch of third parties. We got a chance to go up to the Liquor Cannabis Board the other week, and they really didn't have any definite answers. So it's one of those
You think
things.
they'll do like California and make everybody get rid of everything and start over?
They'll try. They tried to recall on the edibles.
Oh, yes, I heard about that. They had to
and
switch
that's
everything
been,
up.
and that's been a big thing. So there is a chance that they'll do it, but I think they've garnered so much pace or such a fast rate of speed that I don't think they're going to turn back. Right? They'll try to integrate different pieces into the legislation. Usually try to lobby, with the people to really get them to sign on for it. But I think they're too far ahead. They have Washington, in my opinion, out of all the states that have gone recreational, have set the platform for commercialism.
Right.
Right. Whether it's the
Yeah, I
packaging,
understand. You can even have billboards in Washington. I mean, they
yeah.
allow tons of advertising. There's no restrictions.
Yeah, but it hurts the community though. When you go to events, and we started in medical, providing clones to markets, so
Right.
people can be empowered to do that, and seeing that they could just snap like that and take it away from the community, really is what forced us to really look at the CBD and other ways that we could spread it across the map, because we're not alone, right? Like we get back to, right? We're a community, right? A united community, especially in this nation. So, it's on us to really keep each other ahead of the grain, know what can come, especially when it comes to the constituents in the House, especially in your guys' situation out here. I mean, your elected officials don't necessarily have to choose what you voted them in for.
Right.
And
they don't.
Yeah, and you really have to stay on them. So Washington learned that kind of the hard way, even though we have a lot of liberty with the referendums and initiatives. So, it can sneak up on you. Even though when you feel like you're getting this great big pie in the sky, we're going to be able to buy recreational, show my ID. There's people out there who are paying $20 an eighth on their fixed income, SSI, all
Right.
that, who now aren't able to afford it.
To afford it, right?
You know, so, you know, there's pros and cons, but, you know, I think it's so imperative that we always look out for the medical community.
He
Right.
said $20.
That was a big point.
Right.
As a
That
matter of
fire.
fact, that was a big point in the article that they wrote. They said that the one of the big concerns is that they're going to try and flip the medical right into recreational, and that was one of Paul's points, that it is very important that we maintain the integrity of the medical marijuana program while still, pursuing recreational here in Connecticut, because it's very important.
Really
Because
allowing it to be
what happened in
medical
Washington?
and accessible and affordable.
Right.
That's really what we should be now focusing on. Okay, you all made your money. This was the only outlet that you had to, get into this industry. But now that when adult use gets enacted, now let them off these patients. Make it so that they can actually afford their medicine, actually treat their illnesses. Like the way it's set up right now, you'll go broke.
Yeah, you'll go broke, and you don't always
Oh,
get the
yeah.
medicine you need.
Oh, let's not even talk about that.
Right. Right. So if we could at least get grow rights for patients.
It's really critical. You know, there's no, as we all know, there's no formal insurance plans. None of the groups
Nothing.
are accepting or even starting to onboard. So, for Present Naturals, that was one of the things that we made a huge effort for, was to create an assistance program that eventually we can create a bridge over to those programs.
Right.
You know? It's really just getting the wheels started, right? So that was one of the takes that we took out from the medical community being lost. You know, these individuals, they really literally have fixed incomes and they have real needs. So if we can prioritize that always,
Right.
I know lobbying can go a long way, and like we said, we all want to be able to have the freedom, access, right? But we have to be very well aware of what the risks are.
No, actually, let me ask you a question now. Do you think in Washington there's any way to get a medical program back, or is there a way to have services for people? In other words, since there's no formal medical program, are there still services out there to help people medically? Like, are there doctors you can consult with? Are there firms, to learn how to dose, to do that kind of thing? Is there maybe somebody who could sit in a recreational dispensary, a doctor, and take appointments? I mean, at least to be able to incorporate that in a little bit, because to lose that whole thing is it seems like a huge shame. Because besides just the medicine, there's the educational part. There's the help that people like Kebra give you at Can Health, and dosing and things like that. And you lose all that when you cut out the medical program. Are they doing anything like that out there? Or maybe there's an idea for you. I don't know.
Lots of ideas in this time, lots of opportunities. One of the things, it knocked the air out of the sails for the medical community. So a lot of those individuals who had a lot of that knowledge, had a lot of that education, that were doing those types of programs, they end up leaving, right? They felt like they were disrespected. They moved to Oregon. They moved to Colorado. They're moving over here to the East Coast. They're being recruited. So in a way, no, we don't have that representation. There have been, consultancy groups that have grown, right? The ancillary services for this industry is becoming really robust because people have questions. Like I said, the education,
Right.
They need somebody to be like, hey, point me in the right direction.
Right.
But for that community, there was definitely a 1 to 2 year period where it was just kind of ghostly, kind of ghost town. There was people kind of fighting in between on the producer processor, people who had converted to recreational, people who wanted to hold down by principle that they weren't going to. This is what they had been doing for years. Same thing in California, right? You have a lot of families who are getting pushed, especially with the forest fires, and but also kind to snap to now they have 2 tax codes they go to.
Right.
So they're like, before this was easy. Now I'm paying 31 to 33%.
Right.
Right. Everyone has to have
Oh,
insurance.
crazy
right?
taxes out there.
So people, on a business acumen, they're trying to catch up, right?
Yeah.
And that's why the consultants, even for businesses and then also for medical administration, is huge. And I mean, your guys' reach, even here in Connecticut, really can extend the rest of the map, because people
Right.
still need people to talk to. So if you get people who leave, just because of the business conditions, doesn't mean that the people that they were serving get to leave.
Right.
They're just right there.
Where do the patients go?
Yeah.
Here they are. You had a bunch of. I know you had a huge medical program out there, and all of a sudden, boom! Now they're all wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
So where's their help? Where's the doctors that are helping them? It's terrible. See, these are the things we got to look at in Connecticut. We have to make sure that what happened in Washington doesn't happen here. What happened in California doesn't happen here. Because their form of legalization is terrible. It's nothing but over-regulation. I wouldn't even call it legalization. I mean, their public consumption laws are just like outrageous. You know, you can get arrested if you have it even in your car. You have to keep it in your trunk in special containers. And then, of course, what they did to the cultivators out there, you know, making everybody become indoor now. I mean, it totally shook up an industry that was, like you said, pretty simple.
Yeah, really simple. We're not recreating the wheel here.
Right. So that's why I think, and that was part of the point of the article is, and Kebra, I think you'll agree, the work doesn't finish when you get legalization in. You have to make sure that the legalization that they put into this state is right. Because in California, from what I understand, the activists weren't really even up there fighting, you know, for the proper type of legalization. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know that, at least here in Connecticut, we would have let that go through. It's horrible. It's just a horrible form of legalization. So the work really starts, and I use Massachusetts as an example. They really, if they went in there and really formed the structure that they wanted, and it was because there were activists on the Cannabis Control Commission and advocates for cannabis, and you need that. You can't have politicians
like
determining
any industry, really. I mean, you should have professionals, people who have experience, right, who can empathize, but also have a business sense. Right. If you have people who are just focused on money, you're going to be missing a lot of areas. I mean, look at almost every state that has even rolled out cannabis, right? It's supposed to be medical, right? But only certain groups even have parking for handicap, or even usher those people to the front of the line. You know, so we've got a long way to go, right? When we really look how we kind of format it in general, but it is so critical, like you're saying.
Yeah,
just to really be dialed in.
It is critical, and I know we'll all be up there this legislative session pushing for that. I don't know, Kebra, what would you like to see in the legalization bill in Connecticut? Did we lose her? We
lost Kebra.
Call back, Kebra. Oh wait, Harry's leaving. He's going to the bathroom. She can't even call back.
So we can let's continue. She'll call back in. She probably has to park and get ready. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because she opens up in 20 minutes.
Woo. Oh yeah.
Is this week number 2 over there?
This is
week number 2 up in Hartford.
Nice.
She has a real nice office up there. Yep. You know, I really like it. Maybe on your way to Mass tomorrow, you stop by and see it. But
tomorrow's New Haven. Tuesday.
Oh, tomorrow's New Haven. That's right. But it's very nice. It's really cool that Kebra's expanding and gotten it up to the Hartford area because they could use another medical office up there, especially now in Connecticut. We're hoping to get another at least 3, 4, 5, up to 9 dispensaries. 10 more opened up next year. But I guess a lot of that's going to depend on what we do with rec. So you know, we'll have to see what happens. The legislative session starts January.
We shall see. Because, you know, as we discussed this, there's also those places that went recreational, and the cost of cannabis is ridiculously low.
Well, Washington is one. The price dropped like drastically, right?
So, you know, you're like, we're talking about compassion.
And that's
but
including
it's also
them
like
taxing
$50 ounces. You know what I mean? The medical program disappeared, but that's the medical growth program. The doctor's offices are still there. You know what I mean? And the services like what Ashley and even Kebra on that coast can do. It's just a consult, you know, and tying in, but the weed's so cheap. Like having a medical program, and this is just the entrepreneur in me, but having the medical program costs more. You know what I mean? It just costs more to have, and it sucks. How do you integrate it? And I think that's where you guys are now trying to figure out, how do you integrate the business portion of it, because everybody flipped to rec. Now it's up to the business. Yep. Now it's up to the business ethos of that company. You know what I mean? Okay, we'll
that's kind of what I was saying. In other words, right? Are they doing something on the more ground level?
Well, definitely, you know, a grassroots. Like there's a group called Freedom. Yeah, they're up near Everett, Washington, right? And they literally partition their bud room.
Yeah.
Right? And one side is for people who had passed medical, right? And one side is for the recreational, right? And they kind of make it obvious, right? They'll ask you like 2 or 3 questions before, and they definitely have a discount rate for the other room. Right?
See, so that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, so it can, but it was really on that board specifically. You know, we've seen a lot of people who've been selling their licenses. And this is really all the states. I mean, even down in Oregon, which, right, you can get a gram of some fire for like $2 to $3.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
In Oregon, too.
Yeah, I mean, ounces.
Yeah, I've
75.
heard Washington
Yeah.
and Oregon really has an overload of product.
Overload, right? But you still have people who are like, you know, who don't know where it's accessible, where they can get the deals,
Right.
You know, because the advertising is really challenging.
Right.
It's not like you can, you know, do a billboard in certain states. Washington, yes, right, but it has to be very specific.
But not Oregon.
Yeah, and Vegas is coming up. You know, but Vegas's prices are crazy. It's like $23 a gram.
I claim
understand.
that
Oh,
I'm
they're still up
territory.
high? They're still up high?
I claim
yeah.
Vegas as a
Well,
territory
Vegas
now.
has a weird system where the cannabis is distributed by the liquor industry.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
eliminated the way they got it in so quickly was they just flipped medical. All the medical dispensaries just became rec
Yep.
like overnight. So there's another
Literally
case.
overnight
Right.
at midnight.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a case of them just taking the medical program and eliminating it completely. Whereas I believe
You save on taxes if you're a medical patient out there.
yes, okay.
So that's
So
why-
they give
that's
them a
there.
break.
They give you the 23%. I think
I
it's-
still believe people need medical
Yeah.
services.
Yes.
And that's more what it's about. I think it's great that
Do you
they'll
think
have
the government should regulate that, or is it up to
No.
the individual businesses?
it's individual business.
Right.
Please keep the government
I hear
out
you.
as much as possible because they'll overregulate.
Right, because that's kind of where the way I was interpreting
No,
it was that you were like, oh, well, they
no.
got rid of the medical program. Well, yeah, now it's up to the community to push that they still need this portion. But I'm okay with less regulation. You know, who wants more government and things?
Yeah,
Not
no.
I.
It's kind of the dichotomy of the industry, you know. and
Yeah.
People trying to figure out where do we go. You know, even when you get yourself up at a political level where you can make a decision, right? You're trying to weigh out the cost value. There's all these different indexes and formulas that you're trying to make sure that this actually makes sense. And now even stuff like you guys were talking about earlier in Connecticut with somebody, you know, being robbed, right? Like the insurance. How do we assess risk mitigation? So there's a lot of different factors, but that should not supersede that there is a medical community, and then there are recreational users who just want to use it. So, I mean, somehow they've got to figure out how to
They've
be able
gotta-
to steer those lanes, right?
I think ideally, as we get down the road, there's going to be two separate industries. A medical industry which really focuses on using cannabis as medicine. In other words, coming up with treatment programs specifically using cannabis for cancer, using cannabis for other ailments, and literally coming up with an entire regimen. You know, it needs to be more medical. In other words, there should be doctors running it, should be more studies, there should be clinics for opioid addiction, whereas instead of coming in to get your methadone dose, you're getting your cannabis dose, and you're talking to a counselor about how you're doing with your addiction. In other words, I think the medical has to become really more medical, where we're really using cannabis as a medicine. And I'm not saying big pharma. I'm saying still have the recreational sales, but have programs where people can come, get the guidance for their specific ailments using the recreational products, or maybe even come up with
Now I have a question.
different standards. Like
Hey,
rec products have this much THC, but medical can be made stronger and different. You sell certain products medically and different ones rec. And that would be a way to go, yes.
All right. So I'm going to, I guess,
Here we go, the devil again. Go
devil's
ahead.
advocate.
Well,
The devil's advocate. When you call it medicine,
I said no big pharma.
when you call it medicine, it doesn't matter where you are in the country. The way the laws are going to look at it is it's medicine. It's controlled by our doctors. It's controlled by. Let's
ahead.
jump out there. It's just wording. And and this was the topic that I heard this weekend, and this is where this comes from. This week
From the doctor.
Yeah, from the doctor. He goes, we call it medicine. The moment we call it medicine, the FDA needs to get involved. The moment we call it medicine. But if it's a supplement.
So how are they getting away with it now?
listen, But if it's a supplement, the FDA doesn't care.
Well, that's where they have it now. CBD.
But what about THC?
Well, this is where we get dicey.
Yeah, I
So
guess-
this is where I wasn't discussing on what we should do. This was a question to you. Because the whole topic of our last couple sentences were, this is a medicine, let's treat cancer. That's where, any skeptic that says THC, weed, cures cancer. Okay, we know that the studies are out there that it's happening. Now we have to convince this person that's going to act like they have blinders on and aren't going to take any information. Their first question, because we get this question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the doctor say?
Yeah.
What's the doctor say?
Right.
Well, this is what the
Doctors say different things.
Exactly. Okay, so what's the highest? What does the people who tell me about Advil say? Because that's what they're going to ask.
Right.
You know, that comes right along with witch hazel. Witch hazel, we don't claim that it's a medicine, but you can treat it just like aspirin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can buy up as much of it as you want. It's not regulated because it's a supplement. It's an herb.
Right.
And that's kind of where...
But they'll never, ever let THC products be sold in Walmart or Walgreens like supplements are or in a health food store.
Interesting. I think they will.
I don't because it's mind-altering. You don't see booze or anything
Yes, you
sold.
do.
I mean, I hear it's nice. I mean, I definitely think that,
CBD, you can get away with it because
Alcohol
it's
is sold at
non-psychoactive.
Walmart.
but isn't it usually behind a glass counter, right?
Yeah.
So it depends what state. Connecticut doesn't allow it. New York allows it upstate.
I mean, I'm talking about literal medicines. I'm not talking about
and this is where I'm playing
supplements.
this is where I'm playing your devil's advocate because literal medicines will never come as flour.
That's
Never.
okay.
So that's where all of this.
That's another.
Well, we saw that in Oklahoma
Flour is
ruling,
for
right?
the recreational stores.
The moment you call it medicine, the FDA gets it. Like you can't go get poppy leaves.
Right. You can't. Right. I understand that. And
You know
can't-
what I mean? So
You can't grow your own tobacco.
It's a challenge. I mean, look at Oklahoma, right? When they literally tried to roll out their program, right? They tried to exclude flour.
Mhm.
They tried to exclude
Oh,
certain
a lot of
things.
states already have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida excluded flour. New York
Right.
has no flour.
But it seems like they're trying to create that wedge, like we're saying right,
Right.
here, right? So it's either we're going to have like, hey, you're going to accept or not. Like Oklahoma, right? You have to have a pharmacist on.
Right.
So
Well,
basically,
Connecticut too.
CVS, right? Just crushing,
CVS.
right?
Connecticut, too.
CVS is running your ships, right? Yeah, but it's like, you know, when it's almost necessarily for them to have that. Well, one, to be up for tax incentive, right? So they'll know where to kind of put it in which pot. But then also, you know, for the commercial side, because now we have to look at the hemp bill, like that might be signed this week, right? Where does CBD land and all that, right?
Right.
So we're almost creating a three-prong situation,
well,
right?
You guys were in Ohio. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You do know that CBD is only allowed to be sold in medical marijuana dispensaries now in Ohio.
No, it's
Whether
not.
it's they I don't know if they've implemented it yet, but they are not discerning between hemp CBD and cannabis CBD in Ohio.
That is a case that's on the books
Right.
with no decision yet.
Okay, so they just put the bill in, but it hasn't passed.
Correct. So that's the same as saying cannabis is legal, but they didn't sign the bill. So there are very viable shops there. We were introduced to these great companies that are thriving CBD shops because they
Right.
thriving because they chose to understand with their lawyers, because the lawyer that came up and spoke at the summit was the lawyer handling this case.
Right.
My client is being charged with every single CBD product on their shelf. We are fighting that was unconstitutional, and at the same right,
Oh, so somebody got busted out there.
yes.
Oh.
So, with the same right of exactly what you said, they're not differentiating CBD from hemp
Or cannabis.
or cannabis. Now, what happens when the Farm Bill passes?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a different story.
No, it doesn't change that because the lawyer's argument is you've already defined CBD from hemp and cannabis as the same thing. Now, since it's legal from hemp, you've already put your foot in your mouth.
Boom. Boom. I mean, if we can
I
accept
like
that,
that.
on the fundamentals, I mean, that literally legitimizes the claim that cannabis is
The
legal.
truth of
Yeah.
the matter is there is no difference.
So
Between
these
the
are all
two.
For sure
stories
not. For sure not.
CBD from hemp and CBD from cannabis are the same.
because hemp and cannabis are the same.
Just different
but
extraction processes.
no. It's just how you're going to use it because hemp is cannabis sativa. It's literally
But it has no
cannabis
THC, so you
because
don't have
it
to
was
extract
bred
that.
to not have.
Right. So you don't have
THC.
to pull the THC out of it. That's what I'm saying. It's one less step.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, there's a great opportunity. Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, the way that it's being spun around the U.S., right,
Yeah.
creates these scenarios where it's a challenge for everybody to be on the same page. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's so critical for these types of conversations, right, as we embed them in other states that are still to come, so that they know, right? The lawyer, if they win that case, they literally have proven the point. It's a play on words, right? Which when you're a lawyer, right, at any capacity, you know that.
All right.
That's what it is.
I just got the 2-minute warning from Harry, so I want to give you this, and I want to go over the events. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com, New Haven Independent, or go to your Facebook page and look us up. So, got some events coming up this week.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. On December the 5th, we have, November 28th, we have the normal meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about our big fundraiser going on over at Terminal 110 on December the 20th. So come on down. We're also going to be talking about our game plan for the legislative session opening up in January. So that's the 28th at Rough Draft in Hamden. On December the 8th, we have a cooking class, infused holiday cooking with Uncle Lou up at the Canna Health Studios.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Present Naturals provided some CBD flowers that are high, so they're industrial hemp flowers that were bred specifically for high CBD, CBG, and other strains like that. So, you know, that's that cultivar. So we also have the Parents for Pot toy drive and donations. You can drop off things at both Canna Health offices at Kebra, and that will go up to.
And we're doing that at Normal too.
Yep,
at the fundraiser.
Very nice.
Very
and
cool.
The ones they'll go to a great cause. It's an amazing cause.
We also have the December the 5th, we have the medical marijuana discussion group at the Bohemian High. That's the first Wednesday of every month.
I love them.
Yeah,
they're awesome. We spend a good time down there.
You went down there.
So
yeah, Rich is a great guy. He's gonna Present Naturals did a little thing this weekend, and we made some great friends, and we're very excited that we're on the East Coast.
Right. So we got that going on, and then we got, of course, on the 20th, the big normal fundraiser.
Correct.
At Terminal 110. We're going to do cannabis karaoke. We're going to have some stand-up comedians there. We'll be announcing more of the entertainment. And we're looking for sponsors and people to buy booths, vendor tables, and things like that. So
and then
December the 20th.
And then there's just one last thing. We've talked about the hemp so much. We also have March 9th.
We're getting kicked off.
Yeah, I know. March 9th, there will be a large agricultural farm hemp expo, and you can go to farminghempexpo.com.
All right. We'll see you all next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy your turkey and enjoy your desserts afterwards.
Stay happy, healthy, and high.
Happy Turkey Day, everyone.
Turkey bag, chasing gold, y'all. Tell the dime we won't go far. Blue sherbet stuff the whole jar. 100 P's on the Bay Bridge, stuck in traffic. If I ever run into Riri, let's make magic. Die doing something you love, it ain't tragic. Heard what I said, it ain't tragic. From the home of lay down, smoking ratchets. Never win when you spell it backwards. I got green in the bay, my whole team Packers. Hold the plug, I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Gucci slides with the G's while I'm selling P's. Walking proof, money growing trees. Hit the plug, he gon' fly the geese. 100 P's, we supply the streets. Gelato cookies and that blue cheese. Yeah, bitch, woman, she got blue knees. Call her Arizona, she got a few C's. When I'm in California, plug like what you need. Pounds, pounds, pound, pound, pound. Put the work on the table, my nigga, break it down. Moving that work since Hazel's round. Ask anybody, my niggas.